Hey guys, Mr. Grahn, lesson 1.5, conditional statements. Here we're going to go over some variations of conditional statements called converses, inverses, and contrapositives. All right, and I'm going to kind of keep these down over here where I can reference them. So if we have a conditional, that was our if P then Q statement. So P then Q. If P then Q. What a converse is, it switches this around and it says if Q, then P. Right? So it switches our if-then parts around. It switches the hypothesis and the conclusion around. So for our converse, for my little cheat sheet down here, I'm going to switch these around and say if Q, then P. All right, our inverse. Now the order is going to stay the same, but it's going to be the opposite. So instead of if then, it's if not, then not. So if not P, then not Q. So in this case, for the inverse, the way that we would write that in this format is you get the little squiggly line there. That means if not P, then not Q. And if this isn't helpful, don't feel like you need to use it. I just like having it up there. All right, then the fun one, contrapositive. So now we do both things. We flip the hypothesis and the conclusion around and change them to not statements. So now, instead of going if P then Q, we're going to say if not Q, then not P, right? So our contrapositive, we're going to go if not Q, then not P. So we start out with our conditional. Converse, we just flip them around, right? Trade out the hypothesis and the conclusion, flip them around. Inverse, we keep them in the same order, but we change them to nots. And then contrapositive, we switch the order and we change them to not statements. All right, so looking at this, I didn't think that was going to cover where it says contrapositive there. I'm going to leave that there anyway, though. If you clean your room, then you can go shopping is our conditional. So what is our converse? Our converse, we would flip them around. We would say, instead of if then, we're going to change this to the if and the if to the then. So we will go if you can go shopping, then you cleaned your room. And that seems like it's true according to this. This still works. Our inverse, now we're going to keep the order the same, but we're just going to change these things to nots. So we're going to put a not here and a not here, right? So if you don't clean your room, then you can't go shopping. I'm going to abbreviate and shorten a little bit for this one. So if you don't clean, then you can't shop. All right, and our contrapositive, we're going to keep them as nots, but we're going to make this an if and this the then. So if you can't shop, can't go shopping, then you didn't clean your room. All right, another one. So if it snows, then school is canceled. Now with that last one, I think all of the statements were true. They seemed true. This one, it might not always work out. So If it snows, then school is canceled. We know that's not always the time, but let's say if it snows, it really snows, then school is going to be canceled. So we're thinking this is actually a pretty true statement. All right, so then our converse, we'll make this then and this if. So if school is canceled, then it snowed. Well, not necessarily, right? We've all had school canceled for like COVID. School has been canceled for other things as well. It's not just snow. Snow is a big one in Minnesota, but like it isn't necessarily always the case. All right, our inverse. So we'll say if it doesn't snow, or if no snow, then school isn't canceled. Well, that's not necessarily true either, because just because it didn't snow doesn't mean that school isn't going to be canceled. If it flooded or something like that, it could also be canceled. And then our contrapositive, now we're going to keep it if not, and we're going to flip it. So if school isn't canceled, then it didn't snow. Well, if it is going to be canceled because of snow and it's not canceled, well, I think then that means that it also didn't snow. There's a bunch of other stuff that didn't happen also. It didn't flood, it didn't start on fire, anything like that.